Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today's podcast number 1704. The topic is nutrition and the title is How to Lose Weight Without Eating Less. Yes, you can actually do this. It's in theory, but then actually you could apply this if you're a number type person and you don't mind getting into the details of things. But I actually want to explain how this can be done. I recently saw a post where a pretty popular coach, he has over 100,000 followers on Instagram. He made a post about this concept. I don't like the way he presented it, so I'm cleaning it up and doing it in a way that I think is a little more crystal clear. But people tore him apart, saying like there's no way it was possible, and which I thought was kind of funny because the dude has 100,000 followers. He has shown like transformations on his page. There's without a doubt that he knows how to help people lose weight. Maybe people just didn't understand. I'm pretty sure that's it. They just didn't understand what he was trying to explain. So I wanted to simplify it just for you guys and girls. I was going to say like for my listeners. But anybody listening to this podcast, I wanted to make it easy, but explain how you actually can lose weight without eating less. Now, what it comes down to, in order for us to lose body fat, if we want to weigh less, the idea would be is to weigh less by having less body fat on us. We don't want to lose muscle tissue. I don't want to just have a haircut and also not weigh less. We want it to be significant weight loss, and for most people the significance would be is that there's less body fat. In order for us to lose body fat, we have to be in a caloric deficit. Now, this doesn't mean we have to be in a caloric deficit 24/7. It just means our net, our average of caloric intake, whether you're looking at per day, per week, needs to be in a deficit. For my clients, 99.9% of the time, I set them up to be in a surplus post-workout and in a deficit further away from the workout, so that way they'll build muscle and lose fat over time. For clients that have a specific goal of, I don't care what happens to my muscle, I don't want to necessarily lose muscle, but I really want to strip fat off, then we are in a caloric deficit, but I still sway it to be less of a deficit post-workout and greater of a deficit away from the workout. So I do my own little manipulations that people don't know is happening, but it helps make sure it's a better overall experience for them. A lot more work on my end, but it works out really well. If you're going to do this yourself, you do need to create a caloric deficit to promote fat loss, in the sense that you need your body fat that you have now to be burned off for energy, but not replaced. There's you can write a whole book about that last statement, way beyond one podcast. You could do today's podcast is 1704. You could do 1704 podcasts just about that topic, about having not have the weight come back. But you want to be in a caloric deficit that promotes fat storage usage, and therefore that creates fat loss. That deficit, most people when they think of, well, I have to be in a calorie deficit, I have to eat less. That's not actually the case. There's a whole other component, is we can just use more. Rather than eating less to create a deficit, I can use more calories. I can demand more calories. I can move more. And that creates the deficit. And that's the secret. If you want to lose weight without eating less, you just move more. You would want to find your caloric maintenance level. There's equations and whatnot that you can use to kind of guesstimate a starting place. And then you have to kind of adjust based on what progress you see from week to week. How to do that is on our website. We have it for free on how to create your own nutrition program. Go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, free nutrition education. There's a page there with that name. And then the first document on that page is actually how to create your own nutrition program. What you'll see is some calculations based on your body weight, energy levels, activity levels, blah, 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 on roughly a good place to start calorie-wise. You would then make changes every week or so, every 1 to 2 weeks, based on the progress or the change you see in your body weight. And I'm going to explain how to do that in a second. But that's the idea. You can eat at maintenance level and then create a deficit by moving more. How can you move? What are ways you can move? You do not need to go to the gym every day. You do not need to do hours of endless, mindless cardio. 3 pretty easy, definable categories of movement. would be number one is resistance weight training. And that could be, training at your home gym if you have a couple dumbbells, you have a big whole room, or you go to the gym. So resistance training, that's when you go and you lift weights, you move machines around, you do that kind of stuff. That burns calories while you're doing it. And if you do those correctly, you're going to create muscle tissue damage, and your body has to burn calories to repair that muscle. So you actually burn calories while you're doing it, and you burn calories after you're done doing it as you recover from that. The recovery phase depends on the intensity of the training, how strong you are. For some people, it might only last 12 hours. Other people can last 72 hours. Huge variance, depending on a lot of individual factors. But that is one way we can move. Go to the gym or your home gym or use some dumbbells, but just move some weights around. So external weight loads. Another category of movement is moving ourselves, our body weight training. This creates less muscle damage, therefore it's easier to recover from. You can have more overall movement volume, so I can move on more days. If I add body weight training, since it has a lower recovery demand. If I try to do resistance training 7 days a week, I'm probably going to end up overly beat up, a lot of joint pain. It's going to be hard for my body to even recover from that. I'll talk about frequency here in a second, but you might weight train 3 days a week and then 2 days a week do body weight training. The body weight training, you still burn calories while you're doing it, but there's less muscle tissue damage. There's less nervous system damage. There's less overall body damage. So therefore you can recover faster, and that allows you to train more frequently. So you can create a deficit by moving more on more days per week if you blend resistance training and bodyweight training. A third category of how to move is enjoyable cardio. Whether that's walking with a pet or walking with a friend, you can walk outside, you can walk in a mall, you can go for a hike, you can go on bicycle rides. Just movement above normal daily life that gets you slightly winded, slightly out of breath. So those are 3 easy category ways to move more. Resistance weight training, body weight training, and enjoyable cardio. So what you would do is you would eat at your maintenance level. And then you would move as many days as your schedule allows. Maybe you do resistance weight training 2, 3, 4 days a week. You do body weight training maybe 1, 2, or 3 days a week. So maybe, if you're more about body shaping, you don't want to build a lot of muscle, maybe you only go to the gym 2 times a week, but you do body weight training 2 times a week, even 3 times a week. Whereas if you want to pack on a ton of muscle, you might go to the gym 4 days a week and maybe only body weight train 1 day a week. And then enjoyable cardio, fit in on the days you can. So maybe you do 3 weight training days, 2 body weight training days, and then 1 cardio day, and then you take a day off. But the idea is to move as many days as your schedule allows, and then varying how you move based on how you feel recovery-wise, whether you do resistance weight training, body weight training, or enjoyable cardio. That will help you lose body fat without having to eat less. Pretty amazing. How you manage it is you have to track your foods. You do have to be aware of the calories you're consuming, and you want to make sure you have the right amount of protein within those calories, the right timing, and that's all in that free document that's on our website that'll teach you about calories, protein, distribution, that kind of stuff. But you would track your food using a food tracker like MyFitnessPal, MyMacros. There's about 4 million other ones. But you do that. You'd also track your weight. You would want to weigh yourself. And at least once a week, you would check your weight and you would adjust your targets based on your body weight. Just your calorie target based on your body weight. So maybe when you start week 1, you're 150 pounds. If we look through that free education document, you find out that the best equation for you right now, given your activity levels, current body fat percentage, is 150 times 13. That would give you 1,950 calories. That would represent your maintenance level, or at least a guesstimation of where your maintenance level would be. Now, it is impossible to hit an exact calorie number such as 1,950 calories every single day. So give yourself a variance, a tolerance of plus or minus 5%. 5% of 1,950 calories is 97.5 calories. What this does, if I use this as a range, so we have our body weight times 13, and then a plus or minus 5% range, it's 1,852 calories to 2,047 calories. So you would try to be within that range, maybe try to go to the lower end of that range to promote weight loss faster, okay? But be within that range every day of the week. And then next week when you weigh yourself, maybe you're down to 146 pounds. You would want to recalculate your calorie target. So you do 146 times 13, that gives you 1,898. Again, we want to give a variance, a tolerance, so we do plus or minus 5%. 5% of 1,898 calories is 94.9 calories. So my new range for the next week is 1,803 calories to 1,993 calories. What you would see, to make this more simple, is if you went from 150 to 146, so you lost 4 pounds, the bottom of your range would have changed from 1852 down to 1803. So you'd have lost almost 50 calories. So you will adjust your calories each week based on your body weight, but you will always be eating at maintenance level. So technically, you can get grumpy with me and say, what are you talking about? I do have to eat less each week. It is eating less each week, but it's not eating less in the sense that you have to eat within a deficit. You can always be eating at a maintenance level, which is essentially, and there's a lot of asterisks to what I'm saying, and there's some variableness to it, but you can always be eating at the top end of what is possible for you to eat and still lose body fat. So you can be eating the most you can while losing body fat, using this tactic of eating at maintenance level and then using movement to create the deficit. You just recalculate every week or every 2 weeks based on how much you weigh. Again, you go through, make that equation, do the plus or minus 5%, gives you a new range, stay within that range all week. If you lose weight, recalculate the range. So that is how to lose weight without eating less. You eat at your maintenance level, and then you use movement to create the calorie deficit. The ways you can move is resistance weight training, body weight training, and enjoyable cardio. Mix that in however you can throughout the week as much as your schedule allows. Okay? Remember that free document is on our website, free nutrition education page on BrutalIronGym.com. You can click on that first document, learn about all the details, learn how to write your own nutrition program, and create all these adjustments. I thought that would be fun to share, keep it nice and simple, but it is possible to lose weight without eating less. You can eat as much as you can while still losing body fat using this method. If you have any questions, any follow-up stuff, anything you just want to learn more about, just let me know. My email, brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast. You can do that on our website. And then if you like the information we share in our podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels on Instagram and YouTube. You can find us and follow us under the name Brutal Iron Gym. As always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.